Elias Ward didn't flinch. I'd seen men freeze before, but never like this. Her voice tore across the porch, sharp as broken glass. One hand gripped the suitcase handle, the other, the leather bag. The wine in her glass trembled, not from the wind. Neighbors slowed behind curtains. Police lights bled blue over the lake. She thought he was leaving. He was counting down. Every word she spit out lodged in his memory. Every step she took tightened her own noose. He just stood there, cold, still, and already 3 moves ahead. He had been gone for weeks, not far in miles, just far enough to breathe without the echo of this porch under his boots. When his wife died, he left the city, left the noise, came back here, to the lake, to the cedar smell in the morning, to the house they had built one careful paycheck at a time. It wasn't worth much on paper, but paper had never held their laughter. The walls did, the porch did. Even the uneven kitchen tiles she swore she'd replace, those held her. That was why he stayed, not for equity, for memory. Before the porch and the scream, Elias was the one you called when your accounts bled without warning. Corporate fraud, digital trails, numbers that didn't add up. He hunted them down, one keystroke at a time. Quiet work, precise work. He knew the weight of evidence, how it could sit in your hand and feel heavier than stone. And he knew patience, how letting someone think they were winning was the easiest way to see what they'd really do. Now, that skill was turned inward. He didn't come back to an empty house. The door was open before he touched the steps. Inside, a shadow moved, casual, like it belonged there. On the deck, the table was set. Roast chicken, fruit, bottles breathing red into the air. She stood over it like a queen holding court. He adjusted his jacket once, then again. Not from the cold, more like a clockmaker winding the spring before the gears caught. From where I stood, you could see it in his eyes. He wasn't looking at the wine, or at her. He was looking at the ghost of his wife across from him, smiling, tucking hair behind her ear. The cops were still 100 feet away. No rush. Elias didn't need them yet. He'd already mapped the board. Every move she made from here was just filling in the blanks. And she didn't even know she was already playing his game. She appeared before the cops even reached the driveway. Short hair, pressed blazer, clipboard tucked under one arm like it was a badge, not a knock, not a hello. She went straight to the gate. The old brass nameplate was still there, dull from rain, edges worn smooth by years of lake wind. She glanced at it once, lifted a screwdriver from her pocket. Metal bit into metal. The first turn of the screw echoed down the drive. Elias didn't move, just watched. His phone stayed low in his hand, screen dark, camera ready. She pulled the first screw free, set it in her palm, then dropped it into the clipboard's side pocket. Like it belonged there. Like every screw in this neighborhood belonged to her. Paper rustled under her arm. HOA headers. Regulation codes printed in thick black. Her voice didn't need to be loud. The tone alone said she wasn't here to ask. Inside the house, a curtain shifted. One of the neighbors, a face in the dark. They didn't open the door. The second screw came loose faster than the first, clinked against the clipboard's metal clip. She didn't look at Elias, didn't need to. In her mind, he was already out of the picture, the plate tilted in her hand. She turned, gave it one last glance, then set it aside on the edge of the table, right between the roast chicken and the bottle of Merlot. Elias adjusted his stance. One step back, heel on the porch edge, not retreating, measuring. The cops were 30 feet away now. Their pace hadn't changed. They weren't here for her, not yet. She slid a new plate from her folder, polished, printed in block letters that didn't belong to him. Her thumb smoothed the corner. Elias raised his phone slightly, still silent. Frame, focus, one shot. The click was swallowed by the wind off the lake. Somewhere inside, the shadow moved again. Not her. Someone else. The third screw went in. Tight. Too tight. She stepped back, admired her work like an artist signing a canvas. Elias didn't blink. She thought she was making a point. She was. Just not the one she thought. Some moments stay with you, the kind that remind you what it feels like to be pushed too far. If you know that feeling, you'll know why I tell these stories. Stay with me, subscribe now, and add your voice in the comments below. The wind came off the lake in slow, heavy breaths. It caught the corner of the clipboard. One sheet flipped, bold black at the top. HOA, internal use only. She pressed it flat without a thought. Elias saw it, didn't comment, didn't need to. She turned toward him, pen poised like a dagger. "This is just a temporary inspection," she said. Casual, certain. The kind of certainty that comes from never having been challenged. Elias's right hand stayed on the suitcase handle. The left tapped once, twice against the leather bag. Inside, a recorder waited, battery full, memory empty. He shifted his weight, one foot on the porch, the other on the first step. Not closing the distance, just enough to bring her voice into range. "You'll need to vacate while we complete the process," she added. Not an order on paper, yet, but enough for the tape. From the road, the two officers moved closer, slow, uncertain. One of them glanced toward Elias, eyes narrowing just for a second, as if trying to place him. The neighbor's curtain twitched again. The shadow inside didn't move. Elias nodded once, a motion so slight it could have been a shrug. "You're saying it's temporary?" he asked, voice even. "Yes, standard procedure," she replied. No hesitation. Perfect. He let the silence breathe, the kind of pause that made people keep talking. "I'll have the paperwork finalized by the end of the week," she continued. Her tone carried that polished mix of authority and dismissal, but the phrasing, finalized, was wrong. You don't finalize something temporary. The recorder caught it all. Every word, every slip. Elias glanced down at the table. The nameplate she'd removed sat inches from the roast chicken, a prop in her theater. It gleamed under the afternoon light, a silent exhibit waiting for its turn. The wind shifted. The smell of wine and rosemary carried toward him. He could almost hear his wife's laugh again, light, quick, right before she'd pour the wine too close to the brim. He tightened his grip on the suitcase, not out of anger, out of certainty. This was the first move on the record, not hers, his. She thought she was marking territory. All she'd done was step into the frame, and from now on, every step she took would be caught in perfect clarity. By morning, the email was already in every inbox on the block. Polite, brief, copied to all residents, including the board. Elias kept it simple. One question in bold. Under what HOA clause is a temporary inspection conducted without prior notice to the homeowner? No accusation, no edge. Just a request for clarity. She couldn't resist. By noon, her reply came, reply all. A paragraph of clipped sentences, dripping authority, and one critical misstep. "We are empowered to act at our discretion when community standards are at risk." Vague, overreaching, and now public. That evening, the lake house lit again. The same table, the same wine. Only this time, Elias had invited someone else, a neighbor 2 doors down. A man who once spent 3 months fighting a violation she'd pinned on him for improper fence height. The moment he stepped onto the deck, chairs scraped. Not everyone greeted him. Not everyone dared. Elias took his seat at the edge of the table. He didn't look at her. Not yet. The neighbor waited until the first toast had been poured. Then he pushed his glass aside. The chair legs shrieked against the deck as he stood. "Mind explaining?" he said, voice steady. "Why my violation notice came the same week your cousin's new fence went up, 2 feet higher than mine." The air thinned. Eyes moved. Forks paused. Elias didn't move, just counted. 1, 2, 3. And then her voice cut the silence. "That's irrelevant," she snapped. And then, fatal, "Those cases are handled at my discretion." From the far end of the table, someone repeated it, slow, deliberate, "At your discretion." It was a phrase she had written herself just 24 hours earlier in that reply all email. Her jaw tightened. The rhythm of her breathing changed. The wine in her glass rippled. Elias glanced once at the neighbor, then down at the phone in his lap. The screen glowed faintly. Email thread still open, her words frozen in black and white. Around the table, more faces turned toward her. Some curious, some cold. 2 moves in less than a day. Both hers, both unforced. She thought the gathering was hers to command, but she was no longer hosting. She was standing in the middle of Elias Ward's arena, and the crowd was starting to notice who'd really set the table. The shift came fast, too fast for her to catch her footing. Elias set his phone on the table, screen up, thumb pressed play. The video filled the quiet, grainy black and white from the gate camera. Timestamp in the corner, her figure stepping over the threshold, no key, no knock, clipboard under one arm, other hand on the doorknob, a pause, then the door swinging open. Gasps slid around the table like wind through blinds. No one spoke. She straightened in her chair. "It was an inspection," she said, too quick. "That's not what the bylaws call it," Elias replied, eyes never leaving hers. He reached into the leather bag, drew out a folded binder, thick, tabbed. The original HOA charter, yellowed pages, ink still sharp. He opened it to a marked section, ran one finger down the page, read aloud, clear enough for the deck, the dock, and the shadows behind every curtain. No officer of the association may enter a homeowner's property without consent, unless in the presence of law enforcement, and only for imminent safety concerns. The words landed heavy. Somebody's fork touched the plate with a sharp clink. Across from him, one of the officers stepped closer, leaning over to read for himself. A long, deliberate breath left his chest. Elias closed the binder, didn't push it toward her, didn't need to. The police lights flashed again, catching the rim of her wine glass. The red shifted to a dark, uneasy purple. She set it down without drinking. From the far end, a voice asked, "Is that the same day you replaced the nameplate?" No answer. Another voice. "And sent the violation notice?" Her hand tightened around the clipboard. Too tight. Elias leaned back, hands flat on the table now. "You said discretion," he said quietly. "Turns out the law doesn't give you that." The officers exchanged a glance. The neighbor 2 doors down folded his arms. She looked at the table, then at the crowd, then at him. Whatever she thought she was holding on to, it wasn't hers anymore. In 3 days, Elias Ward had gone from silent target to the man holding the room. And tonight, the room was done, looking at her for answers. The crowd thinned without ceremony. Chairs stayed where they'd been pushed back. Half-drunk glasses sweated in the night air. Elias didn't watch her leave, didn't watch the officers walk her to the curb. He waited until the taillights were gone, until the hum of voices faded down the street. Then he stepped off the deck. Gravel shifted under his boots. The old nameplate lay against the fence post, edges curled, one nail still clinging. He crouched, ran his thumb over the faded lettering. A film of dust came away in his hand. The second nail was rusted through, leaving a dark ring in the wood. From the leather bag, he pulled a hammer. No rush. 1 breath. 2. The first nail went in clean. The second fought back, bending once before finding the grain. The metal rang against the post, small, final. No applause, no words. He stepped back, looking at it from the driveway. Not perfect, a slight tilt to the right. Exactly how it had been before. The porch light spilled over the railing. A moth circled once, twice, then vanished into the dark. Elias slid the hammer into the bag, turned toward the door. The hinges gave a low groan as it closed. The lock clicked, a sound meant for him, not for anyone outside. Inside, the air smelled faintly of cedar and rain. He set the bag down by the chair. Saturday. For a long moment, his eyes stayed on the door, not in fear, not in doubt, just remembering. The street was quiet again. Even the gravel seemed to rest. On the porch, the nameplate caught a shard of moonlight. Its letters, worn but still legible, looked older than the wood behind it, older than the quarrels that had passed this way. Some objects hold more than their weight. They hold the hands that placed them there, the voices that once called them home. Inside, a chair creaked under his weight. The scent of cedar lingered. Rain tapped once against the glass, then stopped. He didn't move to wipe the dust from his shoes, didn't straighten the tilt in the nameplate. Some imperfections are worth keeping. From the mantel, the clock ticked, slow, steady. The kind of rhythm that makes a man breathe deeper. Outside, the wind shifted. The moth returned to the porch light. Its wings opened, closed, opened again. There are victories loud enough to shake walls, and there are others, the ones you hear only when you're alone. Not every battle needs to be fought in the open. Not every wrong demands a storm. Sometimes, it's enough to know the door is locked, the light is on, and the thing they tried to take is still here. Because there are things that do not need to be fought for, as long as reason stays and composure holds.